2 days after my boss refused the supervisor promotion he'd promised me, my phone showed 67 missed calls from the plant. Most were from Andrew Parker, my manager. A few from shift supervisors, 3 were from our biggest client, Omega Industries. I didn't answer any of them because the production line that kept their entire operation running was one I had quietly maintained for 25 years. And for the first time in my career, I had stopped fixing everything that went wrong. My name's Bob Caldwell. I'm 49 years old and I've been at Steelbridge Manufacturing longer than some of these guys have been alive. My phone kept buzzing on the kitchen counter while I grilled burgers with my son Tommy. He was arguing with me about whether the Steelers had any shot at the playoffs this year. For decades, I'd been the guy who answered every emergency call from the plant. That night, I let the phone ring, but the story didn't start with those 67 missed calls. It started 3 days earlier in the main conference room at Steelbridge Manufacturing. That was the moment Andrew Parker decided I wasn't worth the promotion he'd promised, and it turned out to be the most expensive decision he made all year. The conference room always felt colder during quarterly reviews. Maybe it was the AC. Or maybe it was the way everyone sat a little straighter, waiting to hear decisions that quietly shaped their careers. I sat at the long table with my notepad, same spot I'd taken for the past 10 years of these meetings. Around me, other supervisors and engineers shifted in their chairs while Andrew stood at the front with his PowerPoint. Andrew liked meetings like this. They gave him an audience. He was one of those guys who'd come up through business school, never spent a day on the plant floor, but somehow ended up managing people who'd been running machinery since before he was born. Before we wrap up today, he said, adjusting his tie, I want to announce some organizational changes for the quarter. A few people leaned forward. I didn't. I already knew what I'd been promised. 6 months earlier, our main production line had nearly shut down completely. Omega Industries was threatening to cancel their contract after weeks of equipment failures and missed delivery schedules. That contract represented about 40% of our revenue. Losing it would have meant layoffs, maybe even closing the plant. Andrew had pulled me aside after one particularly bad shift. The hydraulic systems were failing every few hours, safety alarms going off constantly, orders backing up. Fix the Omega line permanently, he'd said quietly. Get it running smooth as glass. Make us look good with them, and I'll approve your promotion to plant supervisor. I'd believed him. Why wouldn't I? I'd been at Steelbridge since I was 24, straight out of community college with a 2-year degree in manufacturing technology. Worked my way up from machine operator to technician to specialist. I knew every piece of equipment in that plant, every quirk, every weakness. If anyone could fix the Omega line, it was me. For the next 6 months, I practically lived at that plant. Rebuilt the automation controls from scratch, upgraded all the hydraulic systems, completely rewired the safety protocols, stayed late most nights, came in on weekends. My wife Elizabeth started joking that she was a manufacturing widow. Tommy, who was 22 and working as a machine operator on second shift, would see me leaving as he was coming in for his shift. But I didn't mind the hours because I had a goal. Supervisor position meant better pay, better benefits, respect from management. It meant I wouldn't just be fixing problems anymore. I'd have the authority to prevent them. I documented everything as I worked. Hundreds of pages explaining how each system functioned, why I'd made specific modifications, how to maintain everything properly. Now the Omega line ran like a Swiss watch. 0 downtime in 4 months. 0 safety incidents. Production up 15%. Omega's quality control manager had actually called Andrew personally to complement our operation. I'd turned what was nearly a disaster into our most reliable production line. Andrew clicked to his final slide. Management has decided to bring in fresh perspective for our supervisor roles, he said calmly. Please welcome our new plant supervisor, MBA graduate Jason Webb from corporate headquarters. A name appeared on the screen. Not mine. Jason looked about 28 years old, wearing a suit that probably cost more than I made in a week. Probably never set foot on a factory floor before last week. Across the table, a few of the older guys glanced at me. Pete from maintenance, Jerry from quality control, guys who'd worked with me for years. They knew what had been promised. Andrew avoided my eyes completely. The room stayed quiet. You could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Andrew closed his laptop with a snap that seemed louder than it should have been. That concludes today's review. Thank you all for your continued hard work. I closed my notepad slowly and stood. No questions, no reaction, just the quiet realization that 25 years of loyalty 6 months of overtime, and one successfully completed project apparently weren't worth a damn thing to management. I walked out of that conference room without saying a word to anyone, but somewhere between the elevator and the parking lot, something inside me shifted. For the first time in 25 years, I realized something important. The production line I'd spent months perfecting, the systems I maintained every day, the dozens of small problems I solved before anyone else even noticed them, none of that was really the company's responsibility. I'd just been the only person doing it. I'd never been the loudest guy at Steelbridge Manufacturing. That was almost an advantage in some ways. The company rewarded visibility and confident presentations during management meetings. Guys who spoke up in meetings, who volunteered for high-profile projects, who knew how to work a room. But I'd built a different kind of reputation over the years. The guy who quietly made problems disappear. My official title was Senior Manufacturing Systems Specialist. It sounded technical but ordinary. One of many engineers responsible for keeping the production lines running. I didn't manage a big team. I didn't present during executive reviews. My name rarely appeared in quarterly reports or company newsletters. But inside the plant, people knew something management didn't. When something complicated broke, when a system started acting up in ways that didn't make sense, when we had a problem that might shut down production, I was the person who got called. The Omega line had nearly destroyed our entire operation when it first got installed 2 years ago. Sales had rushed the contract through before the engineering team was ready. They'd promised capabilities we didn't have, delivery schedules we couldn't meet. The new equipment arrived and nobody really understood how to integrate it with our existing systems. Orders started backing up immediately. Hydraulic systems failed every few hours. Safety alarms went off constantly. Quality control couldn't maintain consistency. Supervisors were confused, shift meetings stretched late into the night without answers, and Omega was threatening to walk away from the contract. That's when I stepped in, not because Andrew asked me to, but because I could see the plant heading toward a cliff. I mapped the entire workflow from scratch, studied every piece of equipment, traced every connection. The problem wasn't the new machinery itself. The problem was that nobody had properly integrated it with systems that had been running for 15 years. It was like trying to connect a modern computer to an old TV without understanding how the signals needed to be converted. I spent 3 months rebuilding the control systems piece by piece, rewrote the automation protocols, fixed the hydraulic problems that were causing constant shutdowns, redesigned the safety interlocks so they actually made sense. Slowly, methodically, the chaos started disappearing. Within 6 months, the Omega line was running so smoothly that most people forgot how close we'd come to losing the contract entirely. I didn't forget. I documented everything. Every modification I'd made, every system interaction, every maintenance requirement, hundreds of pages of technical manuals explaining exactly how everything worked and why it worked that way. I figured if something happened to me, at least the next guy would have a roadmap. Anyone could have learned the system by reading those documents. Problem was, almost no one ever did. Management liked that the line was running smoothly, but they didn't really care about understanding how or why. From Andrew's perspective, the situation looked simple. Orders were on schedule. Omega was satisfied with our quality and delivery. The emergency calls stopped coming to his office. The line looked stable and profitable. What he didn't realize was that stability had a single point of failure, and like most critical infrastructure, I was only noticed when something started breaking down. That evening after the meeting, I sat in my truck in the parking lot for a few minutes before starting it up. Other guys were heading home, pickup trucks and cars pulling out onto the main road. I watched Jason Webb walk to his car, probably heading back to his apartment or wherever young MBA guys lived. He had no idea what he'd just inherited. No clue about the systems he was supposedly going to supervise. Traffic moved slowly leaving the plant. Highway 22 always got backed up around 4:30, when both shifts were changing. I had time to think as I crept along with everyone else. Normally, this drive home was when I mentally prepared for whatever emergency might come up overnight. A sensor malfunction, a hydraulic leak, a safety system that needed calibration. My phone was always on, always ready. Tonight felt different. Andrew's words kept replaying in my mind. You're too valuable where you are. At first, I expected to feel angry. 25 years of overtime shifts, weekend emergency calls, solving problems that nobody else could figure out, all of it tied to a promise that apparently meant nothing. But anger never really came. Instead, something else settled in. Clarity. Andrew hadn't meant to insult me, Not really. He'd simply described exactly how the company saw my role. Not as potential management material, not as someone capable of leadership. Just as the quiet engineer who made problems disappear before they ever reached his office. I thought about all the times I'd stayed late to fix something that could have waited until morning. All the weekends I'd come in because a system was acting up and I didn't want it to fail during Monday's production run. All the small adjustments and preventive maintenance I did without being asked, because I knew it would prevent bigger problems later. None of that was really my job. I realized it was just work I'd taken on because I cared about keeping things running smoothly. But if that wasn't valued enough for a promotion, if my knowledge and experience weren't worth recognizing officially, then maybe it was time to stick to exactly what my job description said. When I pulled into my driveway, Elizabeth was already starting dinner in the kitchen. She looked up when I came through the door. "You're early," she said, glancing at the clock. "It's barely 5:30, for once," I replied. Tommy was at the kitchen table with homework spread everywhere, same chemistry textbook he'd been fighting with all semester. "You look tired, Dad," he said. "Long day," I said. But I made a decision on the drive home. Two decisions, actually. First, tomorrow I was going to show up at exactly 7 a.m., the start time written in my contract. Second, I was going to stop doing all the extra work that nobody seemed to notice or appreciate. No more staying late to prevent problems. No more weekend maintenance calls. No more going above and beyond my actual job description. No confrontation. No dramatic resignation. No big speeches. Just professional boundaries. The next morning, I was going to let Steelbridge Manufacturing run exactly the way it looked on paper. Without me holding everything together behind the scenes, the first change was small enough that most people barely noticed. Tuesday morning, around 9:15, a pressure sensor on line 3 started giving inconsistent readings. The hydraulic system was supposed to auto-calibrate every 2 hours, keeping pressure within tolerance for optimal performance. By mid-morning, the calibration was drifting outside the acceptable range. Not enough to shut down production, but enough to affect quality and efficiency. Pete from maintenance appeared beside my workstation, holding his tablet like he was presenting a minor emergency. "Hey Bob," he said, "line 3 pressure sensor is acting up again. Same issue we had last month. Can you take a look when you get a chance?" I glanced at the readings on his screen. I could see the problem immediately. The calibration protocol needed a small adjustment, maybe 15 minutes of work to dial in the proper parameters. 6 months ago, I would have walked over and fixed it before Pete even finished explaining the issue. Instead, I said calmly, "That sensor falls under the automation team's responsibility." Pete blinked. "Yeah, but you usually handle the calibration issues. You know that system better than anyone." I opened our internal work order system and created a ticket for the automation department. "They maintain all the pressure monitoring equipment," I said, typing in the details. "Standard procedure is to route it through proper channels." Pete stared at the ticket notification that popped up on his screen. "Oh," he said slowly, "right? Proper channels." He walked away looking confused, probably wondering why I was suddenly following the organizational chart instead of just solving the problem like I always did. By early afternoon, another issue surfaced. A safety interlock on line 2 began triggering false alarms during shift changes. The system would detect a phantom obstruction and automatically shut down the line for about 30 seconds while it reset. Not a major problem, but it was happening every time the day shift handed off to the evening crew. Production wasn't stopped long enough to cause real delays, but it was annoying and inefficient. I noticed the pattern while reviewing the morning reports. I also knew exactly what was causing it. The timing parameters in the safety system were slightly off, probably due to a sensor that was aging and responding a fraction of a second slower than it used to. Normally, I would have adjusted the timing before anyone else even realized there was an issue. This time, I simply logged the occurrence in our incident tracking system and moved on to other work. Across the plant floor, I could see a few technicians gathering around the Line 2 control panel, trying to figure out why the safety system kept shutting them down. Jason Webb, our new supervisor, was there too, looking at printouts and asking questions that nobody seemed able to answer clearly. For the first time since I'd started at Steelbridge, the plant was running exactly the way it appeared on the organizational chart. No invisible corrections, no quiet fixes, no Bob Caldwell stepping in to solve problems that weren't officially his responsibility. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, small cracks began spreading through the operation. Wednesday brought a new set of issues. The conveyor system on line 1 started running about 3% slower than normal. Not enough to trigger any alarms, but enough to gradually back up production throughout the day. By afternoon, we were running 45 minutes behind schedule on several orders. The problem was a worn belt that needed adjustment, something I would have spotted and fixed during a routine walkthrough. Instead, I stayed at my desk working on the documentation project I'd been assigned. Nobody had asked me to do line inspections. That wasn't in my official job description. I watched through the office window as supervisors and technicians tried to figure out why line 1 was running slow. They eventually identified the belt issue around 3 p.m. and got it fixed, but not before falling further behind on the day's production targets. Thursday morning brought the first real crisis. An urgent message arrived from Omega Industries just after 8 a.m. Their production scheduler needed immediate modifications to our delivery protocol. A supply chain disruption on their end meant rescheduling 3 weeks of orders, adjusting our production priorities, and modifying the line automation to handle different part sequences. It was exactly the kind of complex change that required someone who understood both the technical systems and the production workflow. Normally, requests like this never reached management meetings.
I would review the requirements, coordinate with our shipping department, adjust the line programming, and have everything running smoothly within a few hours.
Omega would get what they needed, we'd maintain our schedule, and nobody else would even know there had been a disruption. This time, the request triggered an emergency planning session. Andrew stood at the conference table while Omega's operations manager appeared on the large video screen. Representatives from our scheduling, shipping, and quality control departments crowded around the table with laptops and printouts. So these modifications should be fairly straightforward, Andrew said confidently. We'll update the line programming on our side and adjust the production sequence. The Omega manager frowned slightly. Can you walk me through how your system handles priority changes when there's a sequence conflict with existing orders? Andrew hesitated for a moment. Well, the automation platform handles those adjustments automatically, he replied. It's all built into the software. The manager leaned forward on the video call. Yes. But what logic does it use when you have competing deadlines across multiple product lines? How does it prioritize between rush orders and standing contracts? Andrew glanced around the room. The scheduling supervisor shuffled through some papers. The shipping coordinator looked at his laptop screen. Nobody answered. The silence stretched long enough to become uncomfortable. Finally, Andrew's eyes landed on me. Bob, he said with a forced smile, you work closely with the Omega system. Maybe you can explain the priority protocol to our friends at Omega. I looked up from my notebook. All Omega procedures are documented in the technical manual system, I said calmly. Everything's been written down according to standard documentation requirements. Andrew gave a tight nod and opened the documentation folder on his laptop. Hundreds of files appeared on the screen: process diagrams, automation guides, line programming protocols, maintenance schedules. Andrew scrolled through them, his expression growing more strained with each page. The Omega manager waited patiently on the video call. Someone shifted uncomfortably in their chair. For the first time, the people responsible for managing our biggest account were realizing something they'd never considered before. The system worked perfectly, but understanding why it worked required knowledge that existed almost entirely in one person's head. And that person was sitting quietly at the far end of the table, watching them struggle with something he could have explained in 5 minutes. At exactly 5 p.m. that evening, I shut down my computer and packed up my things. The plant still buzzed with quiet urgency. Several people stood near the conference rooms, discussing the Omega situation, while others typed frantically at their keyboards, trying to figure out solutions to problems they'd never had to solve before. Pete looked up from his workstation as I walked past. You heading out already, Bob? I nodded. End of shift. Pete hesitated, clearly expecting me to mention the growing list of issues accumulating on everyone's screens. The pressure sensor that still wasn't calibrated properly. The safety interlock that kept shutting down line 2. The Omega protocol changes that nobody seemed to understand. I didn't say anything about any of it. I walked past the conference room where Andrew was still on another video call with Omega's technical team, his voice tight and controlled. Jason Webb sat beside him, taking notes on things he probably didn't understand. Through the window, I could see stress written across both their faces. The elevator doors closed behind me with a soft chime. Outside, my phone started buzzing before I even reached my truck. One notification, then another, then several more. By the time I started the engine, the screen showed multiple missed calls and urgent messages from people at the plant. I turned the phone face down on the passenger seat and drove home. That evening, instead of checking system logs or answering emergency emails like I had for 25 years, I helped Tommy work on his truck in the garage. We spent 2 hours replacing brake pads and arguing about whether he needed new tires before winter. Later, after Tommy went to his girlfriend's house and Elizabeth went to bed, I finally picked up my phone. The screen lit up with 23 missed calls. Most from Andrew, several from shift supervisors, a few from numbers I didn't recognize but figured were probably Omega people trying to reach someone who could explain their system. I looked at the notifications for a moment, then set the phone back on the table and turned off the lights. That night, I slept straight through for the first time in months. No emergency calls, no systems alarms, no problems that couldn't wait until morning. The issues at Steelbridge weren't mine to solve anymore. I'd made that decision, and I was sticking to it. Friday morning was when everything really fell apart. I arrived at work at exactly 7 a.m. to find the parking lot busier than usual. Cars I didn't recognize, including a couple that looked expensive enough to belong to corporate executives. Inside the plant, people were moving with the kind of urgent energy that meant something bad had happened overnight. I found out what when I checked my computer. Line 2 had shut down completely around 11 p.m. the night before. The safety interlock problem had cascaded into something bigger, triggering multiple system failures that nobody on third shift knew how to fix. Production had been stopped for 8 hours. 8 hours of downtime on our main production line meant hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue, plus the cost of overtime to make up the missed production. Worse, Omega Industries was threatening to invoke the penalty clauses in our contract. The delivery schedule changes they'd requested weren't implemented properly, which meant their entire production line was going to be disrupted. They were talking about finding alternative suppliers, which would basically destroy Steelbridge. Around 10 a.m., an email went out to everyone. Emergency operations meeting. Conference room A, mandatory attendance. I arrived exactly on time to find the room more crowded than I'd ever seen it. Regular management was there, but so were people I recognized as corporate executives. At the head of the table sat William Strauss, the plant owner himself. Strauss was probably in his 60s, a guy who'd built Steelbridge from nothing over 30 years. He rarely showed up at the plant unless something had gone seriously wrong. Today, something had definitely gone seriously wrong. Andrew stood beside the presentation screen looking like he hadn't slept much. Omega Industries has escalated their concerns about our recent operational issues, he began. Multiple production stoppages, safety system malfunctions, and delivery schedule disruptions have put our contract at risk. He clicked through a few slides showing downtime statistics, revenue impacts, customer satisfaction scores. All the numbers were trending in the wrong direction. The explanation dissolved into corporate speak about process improvements and system optimization, but nobody was buying it. Strauss listened without interrupting. Finally, Andrew turned toward me. "Bob," he said bluntly, "we need you to get the Omega situation resolved immediately, whatever it takes." Everyone in the room turned to look at me. I nodded once. Of course, I said calmly. Then I added almost gently, but I thought management preferred fresh perspective and new approaches to these challenges. The sentence hit the room like a hammer. No one spoke. Andrew's jaw tightened. Strauss leaned back in his chair, studying me with quiet interest. I reached into my bag and pulled out an envelope. I placed it carefully on the conference table. The paper made a soft sound against the polished surface. "My 2 weeks' notice," I said simply. Several people around the table straightened in their chairs. Andrew reacted immediately. "You're resigning? Right now in the middle of this crisis?" My expression didn't change. "I submitted it this morning. Another company contacted me last week. They're offering a plant operations director position overseeing multiple facilities. Much better compensation, and they seem to value experience over fresh perspective." The room fell silent. Strauss opened the envelope and read the short resignation letter. 2 paragraphs, professional, direct. He folded the paper back and looked at me. "Would you mind stepping into my office for a few minutes?" he asked quietly. What followed was a conversation that changed everything. Strauss offered me the plant operations director position at Steelbridge, with authority to rebuild the systems properly instead of constantly patching problems, double my salary, a real technical team, and the power to implement solutions that would prevent these crises instead of just reacting to them. I accepted. Over the next 6 months, we transformed how Steelbridge operated. Proper documentation, systematic preventive maintenance, cross-training so no single person was a critical point of failure. Overtime dropped by 30%. Safety incidents became practically non-existent. Omega extended their contract and gave us additional business. Tommy got promoted to shift lead. Elizabeth finally stopped worrying about late-night phone calls disrupting our dinner. And I learned something important about the difference between being valuable and being valued. Sometimes the strongest response to being undervalued isn't anger. It's demonstrating your worth so clearly that it becomes impossible to ignore. Here's what I want you to understand if you're reading this. Your company probably has people like me. People doing invisible work that keeps everything running. People whose knowledge and experience get taken for granted because they've never caused a crisis by not being there. If you manage people, look around and figure out who those people are, because the day they decide to stop going above and beyond is the day you'll discover how much your operation really depends on work that doesn't show up in any job description. And by then, it might be too late to fix the damage. Don't let it get that far.